Hello, hello, hello. This is Sahar and Radi, your AI whisperer, and I'm back with our Friday, the extra flavor of coffee, the Forbes article or blog. Can I be honest with you? I talk to executives every day, and lately I keep hearing the same exact thing. I'm exhausted, but I can't pinpoint why. So I ask, how many AI decisions are you making? And they pause because they have lost count. That's when I know they are experiencing executive burnout from AI. Not burnout from overwork, burnout from your brain operating under impossible conditions. Constant decisions, relentless novelty, performance of confidence you don't feel. Today, we're talking about what's actually happening in your brain when AI causes burnout. And more importantly, what works to fix it. No fluff, just neuroscience. Let's go.
Welcome to the deep dive. We take that stack of sources you send us, articles, research, all that thought leadership, and we really boil it down to what you need to know fast. Today, we're tackling something pretty critical, but maybe not always named out loud. Executive burnout. Specifically, the kind driven by, well, the sheer speed of artificial intelligence. If you, or maybe your leadership team, have felt this kind of unique, deep exhaustion, something that feels, I don't know, different from the usual high-stakes pressure, then our mission today is to really get under the hood. This isn't just about being overworked. It feels more like the brain itself is struggling with something genuinely new.
Yeah, that's exactly what the sources point to. It's a specific kind of burnout. It's happening because the brain is constantly trying to process change that's just exponential. It's not simply about working harder. It's the brain reacting in a way it wasn't really built for. These conditions are unprecedented.
And the thing that really jumped out at me, reading through everything, the core of it often seems to be less about the actual AI work and more about the energy spent just performing confidence,
Yeah.
making huge decisions, leading big changes, all while internally thinking, wait, what does this actually mean? That performance, that's the drain.
That's a huge part of it. That cognitive load is immense.
Okay, so let's break down that feeling. If it's not the usual too many meetings, not enough sleep kind of stress, what does this AI-driven burnout actually look like day to day? The sources describe it as more of a constant, low-grade hum of depletion, right? Not usually a big collapse.
Exactly. We pulled out four sort of key feelings or manifestations that really define this specific exhaustion for leaders. First up is this relentless decision fatigue. And it just builds day after day. Think about it. Every week, maybe even every day, there's a new AI model, a competitor doing something, a vendor pushing a new tool.
Okay, but hold on. Isn't making tough calls just part of being a leader? I mean, launching a new product 5 years ago was stressful too, lots of decisions there. How's this AI fatigue different?
It's different because of the sheer frequency and the ambiguity. That product launched 5 years ago. Intense, yes, but the decisions were probably more discrete, right, with a clearer life cycle. AI forces these constant micro decisions about really fundamental things, like, is this tech even stable? Should we hire someone with this weird new skill? Are we falling behind right now? And the context shifts so fast, you never feel like you've actually made the decision. It never closes. That's what really hammers the brain.
Ah, I see. So it's not just should we do this, it's should we do this, knowing that by tomorrow, the whole landscape might have changed.
Precisely, which flows right into the second thing, cognitive whiplash. From just constant learning, you invest real mental energy trying to get your head around one tool, one implication, and boom. Before you can even really use that knowledge, the tool updates or something totally new comes along. That learning cycle, it just never feels complete. You're always playing catch up, and that is incredibly demoralizing over time.
Yeah, that perpetual almost got it feeling.
Uh-huh. Then there's the third one, which you touched on earlier, that heavy emotional weight of the performance of confidence. Leaders feel this immense pressure to be the AI champion, right?
Yeah.
To approve the strategies, use all the right buzzwords, all while knowing deep down they haven't had the bandwidth to really grasp the underlying tech. That gap, that cognitive dissonance, acting competent while feeling deeply unsure, it's exhausting. You're managing two realities at once.
Wow, that sounds like you're constantly on guard internally.
It is. And number four, kind of humming underneath all of this, is the fear of irrelevance. It's this quiet anxiety. Maybe younger team members, the digital natives, seem to get AI instantly. Meanwhile, the leader feels like they need a glossary just for the acronyms, the little voice saying, am I actually the right person to lead us through this next phase if I don't truly understand the engine driving it? That fear, it just chips away at confidence day after day.
Okay, this is fascinating. So we see the symptoms, the fatigue, the whiplash, the performance, the fear. But why? Why does the brain react like this? Let's get into the neuroscience now. The sources point to three specific mechanisms causing this exhaustion, right?
Yeah, and this is key. We're moving beyond just stress and looking at the actual brain machinery hitting its limits. It's not about weakness, it's neurology meeting an impossible situation. Okay, so mechanism number one, prefrontal cortex overload, or PF-free overload. Your PFC, that's a front part of your brain. It's your CEO, handles planning, complex decisions, controlling impulses. Think of it like a battery, but with limited juice.
Right, the executive function center.
Exactly. And what the sources show is that this AI environment just bombards the PFC with constant high-stakes micro decisions all day long.
So you're saying AI is basically stopping our brain from doing its nightly defrag?
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Normally, you might use, say, 80% of your decision-making capacity in a day, then recharge fully overnight. But with AI, new stuff drops daily. You're constantly reevaluating. Is this a threat? Is this an opportunity I'm missing? What if I make the wrong call? That battery never gets back to 100%. You start the next day already depleted, maybe at 30%, and every decision drains you way faster. That deficit is the chronic decision fatigue.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about just the sheer volume of new stuff? All the innovation, that must hit our reward system somehow.
Absolutely, and that brings us to mechanism two, dopamine system dysregulation. You could call it novelty overload. See, our dopamine system evolved to give us a little kick, a reward for occasional novelty. Something new and potentially useful pops up, dopamine spikes, and we feel curious, motivated, excited to check it out.
Like getting a little good job buzz for learning something new.
Precisely. But AI is an occasional novelty. It's a fire hose, relentless, daily, overwhelming novelty. So for the first few months, maybe leaders do feel that excitement. Wow, look what this can do. But after 6 months, a year of this constant barrage, the system just flattens out. Your brain can't process constant newness as a reward anymore. So that initial curiosity gets replaced by anxiety or numbness or just plain exhaustion. The novelty starts feeling less like an opportunity and more like a threat.
Which leads perfectly into the third mechanism.
Exactly. Mechanism three, the amygdala on high alert. The amygdala is your brain's smoke detector. It's constantly scanning for threats. And it's not just looking for physical danger like a predator. It sees social and professional threats as equally serious. Things like losing face, losing your market position because you lagged on tech, being seen as, well, obsolete.
So the brain literally treats falling behind on AI like seeing a tiger in the bushes.
Metaphorically, yes, the activation pattern can be similar for high-stakes social or professional threats. But how do we tell the difference between healthy skepticism, which leaders need, and this pure threat response?
Yeah, do the sources help distinguish that?
They do. Skepticism is analytical, right?
Yeah.
It uses the PFC, that thinking part. The threat response we're talking about is more primal, more physiological. It triggers the release of cortisol, the stress hormone. So when the amygdala is constantly firing because of these fears, failure, irrelevance, making the wrong bet, it keeps pumping cortisol into your system nonstop. That sustained high cortisol level is the chemical basis for classic burnout symptoms. The deep exhaustion, the cynicism, feeling totally overwhelmed. And because the tech keeps changing, the perceived threat never goes away, so the amygdala never really stands down.
Wow. Okay, that really paints a picture. And it helps explain why the default executive reaction, just knuckle down, work harder, read more articles, go to more webinars, why that often backfires here.
It absolutely backfires. It's tragically the wrong approach for the specific problem. Because think about it. AI is moving exponentially faster than any single person can possibly learn. You just can't outrun it with linear human effort. Reading faster won't cut it.
You're just trying to fill a leaky battery by pouring water in faster.
Precisely. Working harder just accelerates the PFC overload. And it basically confirms to your amygdala, yep, you're right, we are totally overwhelmed and falling behind, which keeps that stress response going strong. The solution, and it feels counterintuitive, isn't more effort. It's about changing the structure of how you engage. It's about working with your brain's limitations, not just pushing against them harder.
Right. So if pushing harder is the wrong path, what are the right ones? Let's get practical.
Yeah.
What are the behavioral changes that actually target those root causes, the PFC overload, the dopamine dysregulation, the amygdala on high alert? The sources laid out 5 sort of brain-informed strategies for leading more sustainably.
Yeah, let's walk through them. Strategy number 1 is aim squarely at that PFC overload, that compounding decision fatigue. It's simple in concept. Create AI evaluation windows. Basically, you have to stop making significant AI decisions every single day, or even every week.
Okay, but how do you actually do that? People are always bringing you new ideas, new tools. How do you stop the flood?
You have to formalize it, make it structural. For example, you might decide, we will have a dedicated AI innovation review meeting once per quarter. Outside of that specific scheduled window, the default answer to, should we try this shiny new AI thing, becomes automatically interesting. Let's add it to the agenda for the next quarterly review.
Mm-hmm.
This forces people to prioritize. And crucially, it removes hundreds of those little draining micro-decisions from your daily plate. It gives your PFC desperately needed recovery time. It's structural rest for the brain.
I like that. Shifting from constant reaction to scheduled, deliberate governance. Okay, strategy 2 targets the novelty overload.
Right. This one is anchor to principles, not tools. When your dopamine system is getting frazzled chasing every new shiny object, you need to replace that chaos with stability. And you do that with a clear, principle-driven filter. So the sources suggest defining maybe just 3 core questions that any AI proposal has to answer, no matter how cool the underlying tech sounds.
What kind of questions?
For instance, 1, does this clearly help us serve our customers better? 2, does this genuinely reduce burnout for our team or make us significantly more efficient? And 3, does this align squarely with our company's core values and ethics? If a proposal can't confidently answer yes to at least 1, ideally more of those, then honestly, the technical details don't matter much at that stage. The decision becomes much simpler, much faster. Your brain can operate from a stable baseline, not chasing novelty.
That brings clarity. Okay, number 3 is about tackling that fear of irrelevance, redefining what it means to be competent.
Yes. Separate strategic AI literacy from technical expertise. This is a really important mental shift for executives. Look, technical expertise is knowing the nuts and bolts, the difference between, retrieval, augmented generation, and fine-tuning a model. Strategic AI literacy is understanding what AI means for your business model, your customer experience, your risks, your people. That's the executive's job.
So you don't need to code, you need to understand the implications.
Exactly. Once you accept that your role is strategic leadership, not technical mastery, that heavy burden of performing confidence starts to lift. You stop wasting precious mental energy trying to grasp intricate details that aren't actually relevant to your core function. It dissolves that cognitive dissonance.
Okay, strategy 4 feels brave.
Mhm.
It directly challenges that need to always appear completely in control. Name the exhaustion with your team.
It is brave, but it's also neurologically smart. There's a psychological technique called affect labeling. Basically, just putting the feeling into words actually reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's threat center. So saying something like, okay, team, I need to be honest. I don't feel I understand the risks of this deployment deeply enough yet. Let's work together to fix that. That vulnerability, it actually signals strong, self-aware leadership. It can create psychological safety. Maybe you even schedule a regular no stupid question session about AI where everyone, including the boss, can admit what they don't know and learn together without judgment. It calms that background threat hum.
That feels like it could build a lot of trust. Okay, finally, strategy 5 gets right at that feeling of losing control that keeps the threat response active. Stop approving what you don't understand.
This is about reclaiming your cognitive autonomy. It sounds obvious, but think about how often leaders might approve a complex strategy they don't fully grasp, just to keep momentum or avoid looking slow. Every time you do that, you subtly reinforce your brain's sense of being out of control, which keeps that amygdala firing. Good governance requires clarity before you sign off.
So practically, what does that sound like?
It sounds like saying, I need you to explain this again, but simpler. Help me understand the core risks and assumptions well enough that I could defend this decision. It's not admitting weakness, it's exercising responsible leadership. It protects the organization, and critically, it protects your own brain from that chronic sense of underlying threat. So if we pull all this together, AI isn't going to slow down. That speed is probably the new normal for leadership. But the burnout associated with it, that isn't inevitable. You can actually change how your brain processes all this speed. It requires implementing these kinds of structural changes, things that directly address the decision fatigue, the novelty overload, and that chronic threat activation.
So what's the takeaway here for you listening today? These aren't quick fixes or life hacks. They're really about fundamental shifts, neurological and structural, needed for sustainable strategic leadership in an era defined by exponential change. And since we know that just working harder makes the exhaustion worse, maybe here's something to chew on as you go forward. Think about your week. How often are you draining your own brain's finite capacity by making those reactive AI-related micro-decisions outside of a planned, structured evaluation process? And maybe ask yourself, what's one strategy, one proposal, one decision sitting on your plate right now that you could consciously pause? Pause it. Demand more clarity until you truly feel you've reclaimed that cognitive autonomy. That single act, that could be your first step.
Here's what I want you to remember. Executive burnout from AI is real, and it's neurological. Your prefrontal cortex wasn't designed for constant AI evaluation. Your dopamine system wasn't designed for relentless novelty. Your amygdala wasn't designed to stay calm when your competence feels threatened daily. So stop blaming yourself for being exhausted and start implementing strategies that work with your brain. Create evaluation windows. Anchor to principles. Demand clarity before approval. Name the exhaustion. Most importantly, stop pretending. These are not band-aids. They are structural fixes that address root causes. Because you don't need to work harder, you need to work differently. And that starts with understanding your brain. Thanks for being here. I'm Sahar, your AI whisperer. If this helped you name something you have been feeling, do me a favor. Show me some love. Like, save, share the podcast with someone else. Share it with another executive who needs to hear it. Leadership shouldn't feel this lonely. Talk soon. If you need to get hold of me, email me at sahar@saharconsulting.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Sahar Andrade, or on Instagram, Sahar the Reinvent Coach. This was our extra flavor coffee or Friday. I'll see you in our usual podcast on Wednesday. Till we meet again, I'm out of here.